The New Hampshire primary from the beginning has been about the little guy. It gives an opportunity for any person who meets the qualifications to be able to have a chance to run for president, to get on the ballot here, and we've had several instances over the years where someone who came into the state was very little known, ended up winning the New Hampshire primary, and ended up becoming president.
Sam Sloan, also from New York. We'll get started with the questions first, or in just a moment, but first let's do the opening statements. Please.
My name is Sam Sloan. I am a book publisher, and I'm also an internationally rated chess player. If you play the game of chess or study it seriously, you've almost certainly studied one of my books that I published. Or if you've studied a college student in the field of mathematics, you probably studied one of my math books that I've published or reprinted. And I published, by the way, 974 books. That's some kind of record. I want to take a look at the fact that we start off with 10 major candidates. None of these major candidates are sitting here amongst us. Of the 10 that started, only 4 are left. And the ones that are out have spent tens of millions of dollars, and the money was completely wasted down the drain because they're not running anymore. This is a really ridiculous situation that so much money is wasted on major candidates, and here we are sitting here. We're probably, any of us are just as qualified and just as good, and we would make just as good a president as any of those 10 guys who dropped out, or the 4 that are still left. So just looking at the candidates still left, what can any of them do? I've done a lot of things. For example, I argued orally before the United States Supreme Court, won a case 9-0. I'm the only living non-lawyer who's ever done that. Nobody else but me has done this. Nobody but me has published 974 books. Nobody but me has done a whole bunch of things. If you look at my biography, you'll see that I've done a whole bunch of things that nobody else has ever done. And I'm a person who gets out and does things every single day. I get stuff done. I stir up a lot of trouble, that's true. But anyway, things happen when I'm around. You'll see that consistently. And so I think you'll know that if by some chance I get lucky and I'm elected, things will start happening very fast. There'll be a difference made having me around than other people. And so anyway, that's my major point. And I want you to look at the major candidates. Take a look at, can any of them do anything? Can just take any candidate. Which of them actually can do something? Other than smile and have a nice smile and have a nice personality and get votes, but most of them are not really capable of anything at all except for running for election and getting elected.
All right, Mr. Sloan, thank you very much. Appreciate that opening statement. Mr. Sloan, what does health care look like in America under President Sloan's administration?
Well, actually, I would go back to the old way. First, I think Trump should be removed from office, but we know that's not going to happen. But I think the candidates are making a big mistake. All the major candidates are talking about removing Trump. I think they should talk about the issues that address the people. For example, this one. They shouldn't be talking about Trump at all. The people who are against Trump can attack him those ways, but the questions about what will happen next are the questions the candidates should address. Health care for all is basically a communist plot. It isn't workable. And you say, oh, what about illegal aliens? What about other people who are just born? All kinds of people come in under health care. It's just an impractical thing. And basically, we have to have a system where people can buy their own health care, or somebody like me, I have no health care, I just have Medicaid. But fortunately, I've never been sick, so I don't pay for it. I don't need it, you know. I just don't think it's a workable idea. And all these left-wing ideas like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, those are just too far out, and those people will not win, and if they do win, it'll be a disaster because they'll be defeated by Trump.
At least 17 states have passed so-called red flag laws that would allow police or relatives to petition a court to temporarily remove guns from people who present a danger to themselves or others. The New Hampshire House recently passed such a bill, although the governor has said he'll veto it if it gets to his desk. Do you agree with those laws, or what gun control measures, if any, would you support at the federal level?
Well, my daughter, first, I don't believe the right to bear arms in the Constitution gives you the right to carry a Kalashnikov, Uzi, or high-powered weapons. And I don't think in the history, if you go back to study the history of that particular provision, they didn't have any idea that it would be interpreted in that way. It's a right to have private militias. That's what the Second Amendment talks about, is private militias, to small groups to defend towns like a small town like this town we're in right now, may want to have their own militia. Now, my daughter Shamima served in the United States Marines. She served in the war in Iraq. She knows how to handle these guns. She's very competent in the firearms. And she agrees with me that the general public should not have Uzis, Kalashnikovs, higher power weapons like the Las Vegas shooter could shoot 30 bullets in a few seconds. Why should these kind of guns be allowed in the hands of the general public? These are military weapons. They're not useful for hunting or even for self-defense, and they should be taken away from the population.
Democrats have expressed outrage over President Trump's immigration policies, but they're not always specific about what they would actually do in terms of immigration reform. So what would your specific plans be, and how do you balance humanitarian concerns, border enforcement, all of these very complicated issues?
I'm definitely not in favor of open borders. I think that a lot of the rhetoric that Mr. Trump has issued, like, for example, people on welfare are being denied a green card, and this is just talk. The law hasn't changed. By the way, my daughter, who's sitting in the back row, her mother is from another country. I brought her mother to America, and she gave birth in the United States, so she's a U.S. citizen. And that's still the law. They haven't changed it. They're talking about changing the laws, but basically, there really is no solution to this problem. They just have to keep enforcing the border. They have to keep deporting people that come here illegally. That's the only way. There isn't any way to just change it that I can think of. This problem has been before the Congress for many, many years, and they've never come up with a solution, and I don't think they're going to. They just have to enforce the laws as they stand in the books now.
This crisis of opioid addiction, which is a major issue here in the state of New Hampshire, which was something that Donald Trump was surprised by 4 years ago, that, you know, a state with mountains and lakes and forests could have this crisis going on. So at this point, not only is it just opioids, but it's being broadened out now. Meth and cocaine are also making, I guess, an unfortunate comeback. There are funds that would allow flexibility in the use of those funds, but I would just like to know, do you have any unique ideas that we haven't heard that might be something that, even if you don't make it as president, someone out there could say, hey, there's an idea that hasn't been tried, and maybe this will work?
Well, the libertarian answer to these kind of questions is that everything should be legal, and that will make the price come down, and then people will stop being addicted because there'll be no profit. For example, marijuana, they finally, for the last 40 or 50 years, I've been advocating legalized marijuana. Everybody thought I was crazy. And my own mother, by the way, was a child psychiatrist, and she says marijuana is a very, very dangerous drug. And she had treated patients who were addicted to marijuana, and she was a child psychiatrist, so she knew a lot about that, more than I realized at the time. But nevertheless, I think they made the right step when they legalized marijuana, and I think that, and other substances like heroin, for example, is a very dangerous product, but basically, if they legalize it to take the profit away from the people that are selling it, then once there's no profit in it, then the people will be able to control it.
All right, thank you very much,
That's
Mr.
what I
Sloan.
think.
What's keeping you awake at night? Your final statement, and you have about 45 seconds on down the line each.
Oh, just a final statement. Well, basically, I think the Republic, didn't get the chance to answer the questions that I wanted to answer. So I sort of missed the boat on a few times where they asked me the question I didn't really want to answer, and they asked somebody else the question I did want to answer. But in any case, I did the best.
You're running out of time, sir. I apologize for how that broke down.
But basically, I think the Democrats are headed for disaster. I think that the candidates, the four candidates who have survived, who are still running, are weak. I think they can be defeated. Joe Biden is said to be the best candidate, but I just don't see him beating Trump, frankly.
Mr. Stewart?
No, wait, I thought you gave me 45 seconds. You had more.
All right, how are we doing? Take 10 seconds more.
Well, basically, you look at the candidates. I'm going to make some people upset, but let's be frank about it. One of the candidates surviving is a communist. He is a communist. I know this guy for a long time, and he is a communist. Another one is queer. Another one belongs in the old folks' home. and none of these people are going to beat Donald Trump.
All right, thank you very much. Let's hear for the lesser-known candidates. Maybe that won't be the case after tonight in the forum here tonight. Appreciate you being here.